Good evening. Welcome back to another episode of Touchdown Talk, College Football Edition. I'm your host, Brett Smith. Week 8 came and went. I don't know. And it was a good one. A lot of good games this weekend. Some not expected, some were expected, and lived up to the hype. But we have a lot of big news to get into. Week 8 recap. Thank the Lord, and I don't say this often because I don't like Missouri. Thank the Lord for Missouri, or else it would have been a full fade weekend from your boy. 1-5, not good. A lot of wrong reads, and so won't have many weekends like that. But it just happens with some of these slates. But the biggest news coming out from Week 8, the Florida Gators won 23-21 in a game that they should have lost. It should have been just running the ball, kick a field goal, and Mississippi State gets out of there with a win. But Jeff Lebby one-upped Billy Napier in bad play calling and lost them the game. And it didn't seem to matter for Florida. They still pulled the trigger, like I've been reading on Twitter all week, and fired Billy Napier. It was inevitable, but you knew it was going to happen at some point this year because they can't get behind the 8 ball with all the other coaching options open up. I mean, there's 7 or 8 coaching spots now open, so this coaching carousel is about to take a serious merry-go-round. And you're probably not even done with the openings. I mean, I can think Auburn is going to come open at some point. Florida State at the end of the year. And then if LSU doesn't live up to the hype and win 9-10 games and get in the college football playoff, you may start wondering about Brian Kelly as well. So with Billy, he was a great guy, but not a great coach. He just wasn't the right fit for Florida, and that was kind of from the get-go. After last year, kind of surviving the season, resurrecting it a little bit, you would think with this roster that it could only go up from there. But instead, a Week 2 loss at South Florida made it go down. And that's whenever everybody kind of checked out fan-wise and, around the country, all these reporters talking. So it was bound to happen. I thought, from my perspective, it was going to happen after the LSU game, after seeing that horrific drive chart from them. But somehow, the win against Texas helped them. And then it was just A&M, they looked lifeless. And then this game, even with a win, didn't look great. I don't blame Florida for it. It's automatically a top 2 spot now with all the spots open. That and Penn State, you can interchange at 1 and 2. They have the money to go out and get a big name. I mean, you've obviously seen Lane Kiffin thrown out. Marcus Freeman's already said no. So I think Lane entertains it. But right now, I kind of see those 2 jobs as parallel, Ole Miss and Florida. Let me know down below what you guys think about that. But the job that he's done at Ole Miss is the only reason it's on the same level as Florida for me, Because Florida for the past, 10, 15 years since 2010, has really just kind of been this slow uphill climb and then hitting there, and now it's kind of going there. And so, really, it's tough, but it's obviously a good market. And now they wanted to hop on the 8 ball sooner rather than later. They should have probably done it earlier. But it's the same thing I said with Sam Pittman. If you did it in the middle of the season or early in the season, why didn't you do it before the season? And because now, you look at Arkansas, and they're competing with 6 other jobs right now, maybe 8 after 2 more of them, where they're about the 4th or 5th best job, realistically. And so really you missed out on last year's opportunity. And now I think I don't really know what's going to happen with a lot of these places because there's a lot of guys who are in maybe G5 conference or other Power Fours that you're looking at and like, how do they translate to SEC ball? And that's a real question because this is the toughest conference in college football. How's it going to work out? And so, really, you're about to be competing with, from a Florida standpoint, you're about to be competing with Auburn. You're about to be competing with Arkansas. And then you're going to have Penn State as another high job. And then you're going to have Florida State. And then you could even have LSU. So it's just the dominoes are falling into place. I mean, not really into place. They're taking a tumble. Like, there is dominoes splattering all over the floor everywhere. And now, people that have made their moves early in the season, all these other coaches where they're on the brink are looking at it and they're like, we may have waited too long. If we don't do this now, then we're going to be stuck with this guy for another year, or we're going to be stuck with option C as compared to option A and B. So it'll be interesting to see. I would expect the next month or two that it really starts ramping up. You'll start hearing a lot more fire behind these talks. So it is what it is. You like the man, Billy, but he just wasn't. He wasn't the right fit. I kind of figured that from the get-go. You don't see many coaches that go and coach at Florida come from like teams like Louisiana Lafayette, and so it translated over. He was pretty adamant about him being the play caller, and it ended up costing him his job because he would not switch over play calling duties. So, all right, before we get into Week 8 recap, before that, if you're new here, please hit the like and subscribe button. It doesn't take much time at all. Let me know down below, too, what you guys want to hear as well. I was thinking maybe giving you a midway through the season update of top 25, my top 25 that I gave back in videos previous, and then what I think now, and then also an updated college football playoff. Just kind of the teams that are in it, the teams that are right there. So, yeah, let me know down below in the comments if that's what you guys would like to see. But without further ado, Week 8 recap. Bad week, 1-5. Our bets were LSU plus 2.5, Texas A&M, Arkansas under 61.5, Missouri money line, Ole Miss plus 7.5. We'll get into that. Cal minus 9.5 against UNC. I'm looking at Cal different now because how do you not run away with that game? Multiple points. And then USC Notre Dame over 61. So if I had known that that was the real downpour during the game, then Arkansas under may have looked a little different, and then Notre Dame over may have looked a little different. But without further ado, Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt win 31-24 against LSU. My thing going into this game was, can that defense bottle up Diego Pavia and his legs? The answer, after watching it, no. He rushed for... Well, he had 2 touchdowns on the ground, and he ran for easily over 50 yards, but was also able to throw the ball this weekend. I was pleasantly surprised by it because I like Diego. I do. But really, how he gets you is his legs, improvising, keeping plays alive. Weeks being out hurt the defense, hurt that front seven more than I thought it would, even with his brother stepping up and playing and doing well. But this LSU offense is not what anybody saw, and it's the same thing. Brian Kelly hired a bad offensive coordinator, and it is showing right now with what was a top 3 Heisman candidate in Garrett Nussmeier. So, really, that's where some of this heat for Brian Kelly is coming from. Because you had some busted plays, like the one where you throw a little wide receiver screen, he runs around and he takes it 64 yards to the house. that was about your only explosive play that you had because you can't run the ball worth a lick. I mean, you have 200 rushers on the season and you have about 750 yards. You know what that averages to? It's 3.7 yards a carry. You don't get much success doing that. And so that forces you to throw the ball, but you can't. I mean, Garrett Nussmeier, by this time last year, he has one game where he averaged the amount of average passing yards he had last year. He's got one game eclipsed. Last year he had 8. So there's a lot to figure out, and I've said it all year with LSU. They have a national championship caliber defense, but they don't have the offense to back it up, and this game proved. Now you got A&M coming into your place this week in what is the biggest pivot point game of the season, and if you lose that, things take a quick turn, because then you go to Alabama, and it doesn't get easier after that. So a lot of question marks around the LSU offense, around the sideline of the team as a whole. Going to our next game, we had Texas A&M and Arkansas. And I said this week, or in last video, given the previews, that I take every Arkansas over possible. But this game with the weather conditions screamed under. And I didn't realize they'd push it back 2 hours to whenever the storms and torrential downpour stopped. So at that point, both teams had over 500 yards of offense. There was not a lick of defense played all game. And under 61.5 was done midway through the third quarter. And I just sat there and hung my head because I went to the game. I sat there and it was a little rain, but other than that, it was just cloudy. So, bad read on my part there. But A&M and the rushing attack they had. Really, I mean, Marcel Reed looked good passing. He did. Had about 280 yards passing. But really, their run game kind of took off. He was able to run for a lot. Le'Veon Moss, Ruben Owens. I mean, just it was a plethora of options that you have with A&M. And they're a dangerous team. Very, very dangerous. They're number 3 for a reason. And so, 7-0 going to LSU this week. I think they can get the job done. I mean, with this team, you haven't been able to see otherwise. So, now on the other side of the ball, Arkansas has the number 1 rated offense in the country, and they are 2-5. 2-5. Losers of 5 straight. You want to know why? Because your defense is 130th in explosive plays given up, and your defense is about 100th overall in total defense. It is putrid. Cannot stop anything. I mean, you might as well give them 7 points every time at this point because your offense can keep up with them, but you can't get that one stop to get over the hump. And it's been this game, you lost by 3. Last game, Tennessee, you lost by 3. Notre Dame, we don't talk about. Team kind of quit there, and it showed. Memphis, you lose that one by 1. Ole Miss, you lose by 6. You have 4 games of a combined 13 points in losses. That is astounding. And it's not like it's like 20-17. I mean, these are shootouts. If your defense could get one stop, then things could look a lot different. The tides may change, But if you're Arkansas, you look and say, hey, we don't have any problems with Bobby Petrino right now. You could just make him the head coach. He'll run the offense. And then you give a lot of money to a defensive coordinator to come in there, get his guys, and be good. Just be average. If you're an average Arkansas defense, you're sitting at 6-1, 5-2. I mean, realistically, I don't know. It's hard to fathom. But they play an Auburn team this week that is in all sorts of muck right now. I mean, they are about as toxic as you can get. Their offense is not very good. So maybe this is a game where your defense can step up a little bit and actually make the stops they need. Because if that's the case, I see Arkansas at home getting this win and maybe pushing Hugh Freeze out the door at Auburn. That's still up in the air. So we'll see. I'm sorry, I was bouncing around. Let's go to our Friday night game. Cal minus 9.5 versus North Carolina. Get up early, one play into the game, UNC fumbles. Next 2 plays, Cal scores 7-0, easy, like that in 2 minutes. You let him back in it because you're up 14-0, becomes 14-7, 14-10 at halftime. You get the ball, you go out and score, you make it 21-10. You give up a late score, you do, and it just 21-18 is the final score with a Bill Belichick team that you don't know what you're going to get with them. And this was their closest loss yet. And, of course, I take it. So, I don't know. Jaron Sagawafale didn't look bad, but didn't have his stuff that I've seen this year. And it showed. Because I think they would have put up 35 easily on this defense. They should have. Raphael, their running back, could have put up a ton more too. Just not really an all-around sound game, but if you're Cal, you get out of there with the win. So not much more you can ask for. Now, quick recap on that one. Not much to talk about there. Ole Miss at Georgia in a game that Georgia wins 43-35 when Ole Miss is controlling the game, the whole game. And in the fourth quarter, they give up, 22 points, and you score 7? I think it was 28-21 going into the fourth quarter. It's just, your offense, as I said last video, if you saw, they start out hot, and if Georgia starts off slow, it could be a long game. Now, it was very back and forth, but I was giving Ole Miss a slight edge there. I was thinking they could pull this off in Athens. But if not, it would have been a close loss. But then in the second half, Gunnar Stockton turns it on, and they take over the game, really. I didn't get to see too much of the second half because I went to the Arkansas game. But whenever I saw that score at 43-35 as the final score, I was like, how? How? Just a lot of stuff with the Ole Miss defense where your run defense is not great, and neither is Georgia's. But it showed this game, and they ran all over you, and so it's a tough one. But we move on. Now we get to USC Notre Dame over 61 ends 34-24 in a game that was downpouring the whole time, and CJ Carr didn't really have to throw the ball too much or didn't have too many passing yards. And Jadarian Price and Jeremiah Love, if you get that rushing attack every game, I don't see you losing a lot more games, if any, honestly. I mean, they were a two-headed beast for this Notre Dame offense, where USC was keeping up. They were doing what they were supposed to, I was pleasantly surprised by USC that they could keep it close for the time being. But this game had about 54 points at the start of the fourth, and a field goal was kicked in the fourth, and that was it. So a really tough loss for the over there. You get one touchdown, and it hits. But it is what it is. It at least pushes on the touchdown. I mean, yeah, tough loss there, but this Notre Dame team is becoming the team that everybody thought they were this year. Their offense has really blossomed in the past few weeks, and it all kind of started with the Arkansas game. You needed that type of game to propel yourself after the loss against Miami and the loss against A&M at home, which your offense did well, but your defense couldn't stop anything. So, big win for Miami, or for Notre Dame, sorry, not Miami. Carson Beck looking like the old Georgia. But big win for Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman. And getting into our last game, entertaining game, but also at the same time, not as offensive shootout as I would have thought, which, I mean, the over-under was about 47, so rightfully so. Missouri takes down Auburn in Jordan-Hare at night in overtime, 20-17. Now, you look at this Missouri team, and their defense came to play, but it's against an offense that is not very. It's not very good, I guess you can say. I mean, you're having questions with Jackson Arnold, and it's going into week 9. So, this Auburn team is in a lot of deep crap right now, and so Missouri needed this win, a big bounce back win from the tough loss against Alabama, but Missouri's defense looked the part that had kind of been missing at some points this year. You know, games against Kansas, games against Alabama, just kind of getting those stops that they needed. And so they finally did get the stops, and in overtime they were able to get it done, even after missing a field goal that Eli Drinkwitz was walking out, calling it early, and backfired on him. If he would have lost, that clip would be all over the internet. It still may be. I haven't seen it, but a time or two. But it would have been bad. But Missouri going to Vanderbilt this week for College Game Day. 10 versus 16 matchup, 10 versus 15, whatever it is. Can Missouri keep it going, or does Diego Pavia keep the legs moving? I mean, realistically, if he keeps the legs moving, it could be a long day for Mizzou there. I mean, it's just up in the air. That's a very good matchup. I think Vandy has the favorite again, back-to-back weeks by, I think, 3 points this time. So it'll be interesting. Auburn coming to Fayetteville. I'll be there in attendance this weekend. It's not the best game to be at, but this is a game where if you're Arkansas, you need to see more out of your defense, and you very well could. But your offense against a pretty solid Auburn defense, I'll give them credit there. Their defense is very solid. If you can do what you did against Tennessee, A&M, Ole Miss, then your offense can put up points against the Auburn defense, no doubt about it. So I think even if passing isn't there, it's supposed to rain again this weekend, a lot. So if passing isn't there this weekend, I feel very confident that you could have 350 rushing yards between Talon, Mike Washington, Braylon Russell, and then even throw in some Ronnie Hill out of the backfield as well. You haven't seen much of him, but he's more of that scat back. If you got to throw passes, we'll check down sometimes, then there goes to him. But a big slate coming up, a lot of pivotal games for a lot of teams. Vanderbilt gets this win. They're looking at one of the top teams in the SEC behind Alabama and A&M. And then they're an at-large team for the college football playoff, as crazy as that sounds. Now, Arkansas has a chance to fire a coach, basically, if they can get the job done. So it'll be interesting to see this week. I will have my picks out, hopefully either tomorrow or Friday. But that's going to do it for this video. One more time, if you guys are new here, please be sure to like and subscribe. It means a lot. Comment down below what you guys want to see next as well. Different ideas from previews, predictions, recaps. But as for that, that's all I got. So I will talk to you guys later. See ya.